Hey there, welcome to Death Ensemble. I spent the last 2 days, Thursday and Friday, at the New York Comic Con, so here is your video convention report. Okay. Started off Thursday morning at about, I got there, well, it's Thursday afternoon technically, I got there about 1:30. The subway was a trip though. This was something new to me because I get on the 7 line in Flushing, and I'd never been to the new station that they just opened about a month ago on 34th Hudson, which is almost directly on top of the Javits Center where the New York Comic Con is held. It was interesting because weren't many people I could tell were going to the con as I first got on, but as each stop got closer to the end, it turned into a cosplay festival. And it was interesting because I had never been on that train before. So the escalator rather, headed up looks almost exactly like the one in the tube in American Werewolf in London. So I was hoping they didn't get eaten and end up turning into a zombie. That would have made for a lousy day. So anyway, I got out of the subway station, and I am a little off with my bearings when I first get out of a subway station. I can't tell direction in New York City sometimes. But this was easy enough to find because it became very quickly a game of follow the geek. Don't take that wrong, okay? I am a geek for horror. I'm just not a geek for comics, okay? I'm a geek in my own right, and a geek for literature and food and a few other things. So, don't take that as pejoratively. It's not meant that way, comic fans. However, I did follow a bunch of people who I knew were obviously going there, and a few blocks over I ended up at the Javits Center, which is, I had forgotten. I haven't been there since like 2008 or 9, the last time I went to a Comic-Con. We'll get to that in a little bit. This was an experience. So this building is tremendous, and it's all glass, and there were scores and hundreds, maybe even 1,000 people outside at that time. So X had told me to go to the entrance with the blue door, which was for press, so I got in very quickly. One thing I do have to say about the New York Comic Con, for something that is the size it is incredibly well organized and well run. I was expecting mobs, I was expecting chaos. I've seen chaos at much smaller conventions where nobody knows what to do, nobody knows anything, nobody knows where anything is. This is structured amazingly, and I have to give the people that run this show credit on that. They do a great job for handling the kind of crowds that they were getting on Thursday and Friday, and even bigger today. But I won't be back, so I won't worry about that. So I hadn't been to Comic-Con since I believe 2000, it was 8 or 9, I know it was in that area. And at that point Comic-Con was very small scale, and it wasn't a lot of fun. It was very hard to find stuff. They had panels. X and I couldn't find the panels, we couldn't find the celebrities we wanted to meet, we couldn't find the artists in the artist alley. It was a big mess. This actually is not that at all. Okay, number one, the scale now is tremendous. At that point, it was small and not very, not the event it is today. That's for sure. Certainly not the spectacle. But today, it's very well organized, as I said. In fact, I picked up a guide, I guess, that was about that thick. Okay, normally you get a pamphlet at a horror convention which is like maybe 4 to 6 pages tops. This thing was a book, but it was a book that was very well informed and informative and gave me information on everything I needed to find, so I was very happy about that. It did not give me information on how to find X, however, so that took a while. While I wandered around, I saw Mick Foley and the Honky Tonk Man upstairs. That was kind of fun. I went downstairs to the autograph section where I found Jim Serenella, a guy that I'm friendly with, and he had some of his Japanese Godzilla people there. They're always cool to see. But I wasn't here for autographs. I wasn't here for interviews because I guess it would have been basically impossible to line one up. I'm taking it. And even if it wouldn't have, I guess the sound quality would have been a mess. But that's okay because I was there for the spectacle. And when I walked into the dealer's room and there's a recreation of the doors, the well, they were open at the time, but the entranceway to Jurassic World, and there were animal sounds and the John Williams music, that's a good way to start with spectacle. As far as the vendor's room there that I walked into under that, there were, I can't even tell you how big it was. It was just, it went on and on and on in all four directions. I've never seen anything quite that impressive. I wasn't there to buy anything, and a lot of the stuff is comic based, which, you know, if I were a kid, 11, 12, 13 years old, I'm into the original Super Secret Wars, I'm reading the Fantastic Four comics, some X-Men stuff, maybe even into my early 20s, I would have been stoked. I would have been jazzed, and I would have been all over it. At this stage in my life, I'm not a comic guy anymore. You know, I'll go see the movies if I think I like them, but I'm not what I used to be. So it's a little bit different now. As far as being a comic fan, though, if you are a comic fan, this is the place for you in New York City. I also have to say that it's an incredibly hard place to get into. Once people found out I had a 4-day press badge, they were all over me to try to get it. And that's the case with a bunch of people, I guess, who aren't using the full 4 days on their passes. They have all sorts of requests, people begging them, basically offering them money, because this is an exclusive event. It's not my event, though, and that's the whole thing. But we'll get back to that later. I did have one mission on Thursday that I was not able to complete. I'll get back to that later too. But I did eventually bump into X. X was having a great time. He did not get in on a panel that he was looking forward to, but we hung out, walked around. He bought some stuff. He bought some 3D posters that came with the glasses, by the way, the old style 3D glasses with the blue and the red. That was kind of cool. And I spent some time there, and I told X that I was surprised at a few things. I was surprised that I was able to move around. That it didn't seem, you know, it was busy, it was booming, but it wasn't nearly what I thought it was going to be. And X said, well, Thursday is the professional day, and people with the 4-day pass, and some people just with Thursday passes, so you're not going to get nearly the crowd there that you will on Friday, which proved true when I showed up on Friday, and things were still easy to get around, so I can't complain about that either. So I hung out for a while, and then, you know, kind of like ran out of things to do and walk around, and I went out. I went back Friday around 2 o'clock. Actually, I got there around a little past 2:30. And I did spend there till 6:30, so I spent about 4 hours there. I'm kind of trying to figure out what I did in 4 hours, because I didn't buy anything, didn't talk to anyone, didn't go to any panels. So basically, I was just walking around checking things out for 4 hours, which kind of makes sense, because I was all about going to this thing to check out the spectacle. I didn't think they were going to give me a pass when I put in for one, for the professional press pass, and they did. And I knew what this was going to be going in. I knew this was going to be a huge spectacle, and that was what I was looking for. Just to go and wander around and check things out when something's that big, and the comic thing is a little different from what I'm used to. And this may be my last couple conventions I'm going to here. So, you know, I figured they're kind enough to provide me with a pass. Let me go check it out. And this convention is made for plenty of people. Comic fans, as I said, will love this thing. I'm down on conventions, so I wasn't really that big into it. And, you know, it's not my cup of tea. The thing is that it is not what I was looking for as far as the con goes, but it was fun because it was something new. X informed me on Thursday that San Diego Comic-Con is like 4 to 5 times the size of this thing. So I can't even imagine what that would be like, because this was just sprawling and humongous. So I got there around 2:30, and unlike Thursday, the place was loaded with cosplayers. I have to be honest, I find cosplaying to be weird. There's no two ways around it. And I don't mean that to offend anybody. But I think if you're in on the cosplay thing, you're into it. And if you're not like me, watching people dress up, thousands of people dress up in suits when it's not Halloween, and costumes and face paint and multiple heads and stuff like that, is strange. There's no two ways around it. And it was kind of cool because I watched the cosplay community as I was there yesterday, and they're very complimentary to each other. Oh, that's a great costume. Love your face paint. Yeah, I get a lot of that. You'd have pictures, people taking pictures, like, I'll put it this way, cosplayers taking pictures of other cosplayers, and then flipping it where the person taking the picture of the person would have their picture taken by that person. So there's a lot of that going on. There is a lot of respect among the community, I take it, and they really are a community, just like horror fans, in a sprawling, odd, weird, face painty, costumey sort of way. Anyway, however, I did decide that if I go next year, and I'm going in full. If I go more than one day, I'm definitely going as Shao Kahn from Mortal Kombat as one of those days, because I'm a little too stocky for Scorpion. There is one exception with cosplayers that I will accept, though. That is Katana from Mortal Kombat. I had a mission both days, and that was to get my picture with a katana. And the first day I did not see a single Mortal Kombat character. I saw plenty of Street Fighters, plenty of Dragon Ball Z, and not a single person dressed up as anybody from Mortal Kombat. I would have taken a Bright Show at that point, and I didn't even get him. Friday I went back, and there were some. And again, Mortal Kombat came out this past April, so I thought it would have been a lot more represented. Certainly, Street Fighter was well represented. I saw plenty of them because Street Fighter has a new game coming out, and Capcom actually had Capcom Bandai had a video wall where you could play the game, so that's kind of fun. But the problem is, I didn't see any katanas the first day, and I saw a sum total of 2 katanas the second day, both of which were substandard, and both of which were with guys who did not look happy. So, I spent about 4 hours on my quest to get a picture with a legitimate katana, one who was dressed up well and looked good, and it did not happen. I may have to go to San Diego Comic-Con just to get a picture with a katana. But that's my thing. Anyway, I don't feel like I missed out on anything. It would have been nice to get a pic, but it is what it is anyway. So, also, I have to say that there was plenty to see yesterday, and they had a Velociraptor set up, life-size, making noises that they were controlling that looked real. The Trauma team was there, and I did not say hi to them because, unfortunately, Catherine Corcoran, I thought, because I saw something on Twitter the other day, was going to be there Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but she's only there today, which is Saturday, and I'm not going back. And I really wanted to thank her for the great interview she gave me back in August. That was very kind of her, and I saw her when I was at Newcomb High, not Newcomb High, at the, I can't remember, Trauma Dance, there you go. When I was at Trauma Dance back in end of July. And I didn't meet her then, and I did not meet her when I spoke to her. It was over the phone, and I haven't gotten a chance to meet her yet. So I'm hoping that someday our paths cross so I can thank her, because she is incredibly kind and was incredibly nice to Death Ensemble, and I appreciate that. I also saw Mike Gingle there toward the end talking to Lloyd. I want to congratulate him on his new tenure as the editor-in-chief of Fangoria. Unfortunately, he was, there as covering, I guess, for Fangoria, and he was having a fun time talking to Kaufman, so I didn't bother him either. Long story short, the Comic-Con is something that is not for me, but it is for several thousands of people. Many people were there, and the vibe was really cool yesterday, I have to say. Look, like everybody was having a great time. There's plenty of stuff to do, panels, and it's not what they're doing is trying to make this the East Coast version of San Diego Comic-Con, which is why it's quite a bit different from when I went the first time years ago. The thing is now it's a matter of panels, Walking Dead people, those sorts of things. You got premieres there. They did some Gamera trailer the other day for the new Gamera movie. Apparently they showed the first episode of this new season of The Walking Dead last night. So there's all sorts of stuff to do. And there's plenty of stuff to buy if you want to buy. Like I said, literally probably 1,000 vendors there. I can't even imagine. I couldn't count, obviously, but there are tons of people selling stuff. All sorts of comic stuffs, books, shirts, horror. So there's plenty to do and plenty to buy. I'm at a point in my life where I'm not really into conventions anymore, and meeting people and all that sort of stuff, and the pricing and all that. It's just gone by the wayside for me. But if you happen to be a comic fan, if you happen to be a cosplayer, I'm probably telling you something you already know. Okay, go and you'll have a great time. If you're just a horror fan, I don't see where you'd have a great time. I mean, there's some stuff you can do, and the Walking Dead people show up and do panels and those sorts of things, but it's not really horror-oriented, obviously. It's a Comic-Con, and that's a little different. If you're used to going to Chiller or, Horror Hound or any of those shows, you may want to stick to those shows. This is a whole different element, and it's not the element that you're probably looking for. They did have some horror stuff there, as I said. I saw one very short guy dressed up as Michael Myers, but it's not really a horror thing. And speaking to my audience here, which is pretty much horror, I would say that it may not be for you. Alright, so that's about it. I enjoyed doing something different for a change, because I'm 43, but it's still about finding new things to do, especially because I live in Queens now for the last year or so. So the city's all about finding new stuff to do, and it was a lot of fun doing something a little different yesterday. I am upset that X did not come back for Friday because he threatened to wear some super expensive costume of Captain America that he bought somewhere. So all I got to see him in was his little Captain America t-shirt the other day. Not quite the same experience. Anyway, folks, I thank you for listening and watching here. Please come back to Death Ensemble frequently for reports, convention stuff, interviews and reviews. And we look forward to seeing you soon. I'll see you on the road. Be cool. Bye-bye.